How's it going, guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm working at my house on a job that I've been meaning to get done for probably the last year or maybe even longer, and that is I want to get this area fenced in. I got to thinking that it was really pointless to keep feeding my little animals while they're in this dirt lot when I've got all this available feed for them just sitting here waiting that I was about to hit with the mower, till I decided, you know what, I've got a lot of four-legged lawnmowers that would probably love to get out there. That's what we're doing today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Now, like I said before, this is a project that's been on my to-do list for a while, and I actually have already gotten a few things done. Namely, the hardest part of building a fence, which is welding up the braces and getting them cemented into the ground. So yeah, that part's done. All I really need to do is put in T-posts and stretch wire, and this will be ready for animals. Now, before I pound T-posts, I want to go through and mow where I'm going to put the fence line so that, number one, the weeds aren't grounding out on the wire, and number two, when I'm walking through there pounding posts, it's just less weeds that I have to trip through. Now that I've got all the area where the fence will go mowed down, I can go ahead and start pounding T-posts. Now, normally what I would do is stretch a rope, 100 feet at a time to get a straight line, but I started thinking I'm going to be stringing wire around this anyway. I think I can put up one wire attached at all corners, pull it tight, and then use that as my guide wire for the posts. I don't know, it seems like it should work, so that's what I'm going to try. First thing to do is tie the wire off on the brace on the north side of the field before I could string the wire out down to the south side of the field. Once I got it down there, I added an inline tensioner, and then I routed the wire through these corner eyes in the brace. Now back to the north side of the field again with a strand of wire trailing behind me. Once I got up there, I could tie that end of the wire off to the other north brace before going back down to the south side of the field and tightening the wire up with the tensioner. Once I had the wire good and tight and therefore straight, I had a perfect line to follow when putting in my T-posts. So there was nothing left to do but run up to the house and load them up. After stepping it off and laying a few out, it was time to start pounding. One of the reasons that I've been putting this job off is because I've been waiting for it to rain, because that softens up the ground a little bit. I sure wouldn't want to be doing this when the ground is rock hard. Halfway done and half to go. It's about this time that the fence starts taking shape and you can kind of see what you're building finally. And that was good because it gave me the little bit of motivation that I needed to stick with it and get this done.
With the last post in the ground, it was time to go around and start putting the insulators on the T-posts. This is a 5-wire fence, and it's going to hold miniature goats, miniature donkeys, and a bottle calf that will continue to grow until he's a full-size steer. So my bottom 3 wires have to be somewhat close together to keep the goats in, but I also need to get some height on this fence because the bigger animals will need that top wire to be up there so they don't get an idea that they're going to reach their heads over the top to try to eat on the other side. I might decide in the future to bring my horse into this pasture as well, and if I do that, I'll probably have to add a 6th wire to the top to make it a little bit taller, because the way it is now, old Hank could probably step right over it. Now with all the insulators on the posts, I could go ahead and finish stringing out the rest of my wire. This day included a lot of walking. I can't even venture a guess of how many miles I walked just going around this pasture time and time again. But it felt like a lot. Now you wouldn't know this if I didn't tell you, but when I was stringing out the last wire, it ended up being about 200 feet too short. So I had to swallow my pride, head back to town and get another roll of wire before I could finally get this tied off to the brace. With that done, it was time for yet another walk around the field so that I could clip the wire into all of the insulators. The last thing that I had to do is go through and cinch each one of these wires up about as tight as I can make them go before they break. The reason I want them so tight is because, like I said before, there's going to be goats out in this field, and I can be pretty confident that each one of those goats is going to test this fence multiple times, and I want to be ready for that. With all my wires tight and hopefully goat-proof, I'm sure they'll let me know if they're not. They're pretty good about doing that. I could run back up to the shop and hook up my Energizer.
Now that that last wire is tight, I am finally done with this project. This pen is almost ready for animals. There's still a couple more things that I need to do, and one of those, maybe the more important things, is test out this box and see how much juice we got going to the wire. I've got the box turned on now and I can hear it clicking, so I know that it's working. So let's put the tester on there and see where we're at. All right, looks like about 5.8. That's pretty good. Hopefully it's enough to stop a goat anyway. The big payoff for any fencing project is when you finally get to turn animals out into a field that you just fenced in. Unfortunately, I don't get to do that today for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you look directly to the south of me, that sky is really dark, and that's heading our way. So I'm thinking in about 10-20 minutes, it's gonna be pouring here. The other thing is that moving the animals over here will probably be a video in of itself, because I know the Buddy's going to be easy to move. I know that the goats are going to be easy to move because they're small enough that they're kind of going to go where I tell them to go. The donkeys, on the other hand, are kind of the wild card. They're big enough and strong enough to give me a good fight, but they're just small enough where I think I can drag them over here. So we're going to try to do that tomorrow. Look for that in tomorrow's video. Until then, thanks for hanging out at the ranch with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.